Hello, and thank you for joining us for this professional development session in support of Healthy Schoolhouse 2.0. This is the third and final training in our series, so if you missed the first one on My Plate or the second one on nutrients, be sure to go back and watch those as well. These online professional development sessions are being offered on demand courtesy of American University's Department of Health Studies. We hope they are a quick way to share nutrition education concepts that you can easily implement in your kindergarten through grade 5 classrooms in 15 to 20 minutes. Even better, once you record that you taught a lesson, you'll receive a certificate for 1 hour of continuing education credit. If you've already taught a lesson, be sure you have recorded it on the Healthy Schoolhouse Professional Development webpage. The URL is on this slide. Once you've recorded that you taught 3 lessons, you'll earn $75 for classroom supplies. So let's get started with today's training. In the next 15 minutes, we will cover a brief introduction of the Healthy Schoolhouse 2.0 project led by American University. We'll do a warm-up on the topic of sometimes foods with eat this, not that. Next, we'll review what makes us choose the foods we choose. And then we'll walk through reading a nutrition label so we know what's in the food we eat. Lastly, we'll challenge you to make a healthy switcheroo in your life now that you know exactly what's in the foods you're eating. Our goal is for you to know what's in the foods you eat and help your students know how to pick the healthier options as they make their own food choices. Healthy Schoolhouse 2.0 is a 5-year project funded by USDA's National Institute on Food and Agriculture. The goal of this project is to improve health literacy and prevent obesity in elementary school students in Washington, D.C. To achieve this goal, the program team designs, implements, and evaluates a set of research, education, and extension activities. The education component is what these online professional development sessions is all about. We will be covering the content from each of 3 lessons from the USDA's Serving Up My Plate, a yummy curriculum. Our goal is that you then teach this information to your students. The research component relates to how we are measuring the impact of our work. At schools participating in Healthy Schoolhouse 2.0, we are collecting baseline and follow-up data each school year from both teachers and students in grades 1 through 5. We are also measuring consumption of fruits and vegetables in the cafeteria at lunchtime. The extension component is the work we do outside of the classroom by supporting Martha's Table Joyful Food Markets to help the lessons and content take on real-world relevance for the students. You may be wondering what we have learned from Healthy Schoolhouse 2.0 so far. For teachers, we offer a survey twice per year at the beginning and end of each school year. From this survey, we determine 2 things. The first is a health education belief score. The health education belief score describes whether teachers believe that nutrition education in the classroom is important. The scale is from 1, low importance, to 5, the highest importance. In the first 2 years of Healthy Schoolhouse 2.0, the health education belief score for both the intervention and control schools were similar, with an average health belief score over 4. The second teacher data point is a self-efficacy score. Again, these data are collected at the beginning and end of the school year. Teachers report their perception of their own ability to incorporate nutrition education into the class curricula. The scale is from 1, very little, to 5, very much. Initially, the self-efficacy score slightly decreased for the intervention school and slightly increased for the control school, though not statistically significant. At the end of the school year, the self-efficacy score had increased for both schools, with a larger increase for the intervention schools, from 4 to 4.41 points. For the students, we also administer a survey at the beginning and end of each school year. From this survey, we determine 2 things. The first is a student attitude score, which reflects student attitudes towards healthy eating, vegetables and fruits, and interest in healthy activities. This graph displays attitude scores for grades 1 through 5 combined. In the first 2 years of this project, the intervention school shows moderate gains at the end of each year. In particular, at the end of the second year, Students at the intervention school reported an average increase of 3.8% in attitude scores, and differences in the control school were not statistically significant. The second student data point is student knowledge. The student knowledge score reports on the student's knowledge of healthy food and the different nutrients that make up a healthy and balanced diet. Again, this graph displays knowledge scores for grades 1 through 5 combined. At the pretest, the intervention school students scored similar in knowledge to the control school students. But at the post-test, the students in our intervention schools show, on average, a higher knowledge score increase than students in our control school. So there's a quick summary of what the intervention project has shown so far among teachers and students, and we're excited to see the results going forward.
All right, let's have a little appetizer on the topic of sometimes foods. Over the next 6 slides, we will ask if you should eat this or eat that. We'll ask you to guess which food has more of a certain ingredient than you may be thinking, making it a food you should only eat sometimes. So let's see what you think. Number 1, which has more sugar? Serving of traditional tomato sauce or 2 Oreos? The answer is tomato sauce. Traditional tomato or marinara sauce has loads of added sugar in them. Just 1/4 cup of traditional sauces can have up to 15 grams of sugar. Try looking for brands that are low in added sugars or opt for making your own. Pasta sauce is just one example of how many food companies put added sugar in products that you would not expect. Always make sure to check the nutrition label and look for low and no sugar added options. Number 2, which has more fat? A regular hot dog or a serving of cream cheese? The answer is a hot dog. A regular hot dog has almost 17 grams of fat, while 2 tablespoons of cream cheese have 10 grams of fat. It is best to minimize fat from animal sources and focus on getting fat from plant sources like avocados and olive oils. When eating fatty foods, it's important to pay attention to serving sizes. The average bagel with cream cheese from a restaurant has closer to 2 servings of cream cheese, which is about 20 grams of fat. Number 3, which has more salt? A serving of deli meat or 1 tablespoon of soy sauce? The answer is soy sauce. 1 tablespoon of soy sauce has almost 900 milligrams of salt. That's almost 40% of the salt you need in one day. Condiments and other sauces offer sneaky sources of sodium in the diet. When eating salty condiments like soy sauce, be sure to watch your serving sizes and try to eat 1 tablespoon or less. How'd you do with those side-by-side comparisons? Sometimes there are simple swaps you can make to cut down on sometimes foods. Check out this article by Johns Hopkins Medicine for 5 easy swaps that will keep you full and cut down on those extra calories. The link is in the video description. All right, now let's jump into the first course on how we decide what to eat. There are many reasons we have the food preferences we do. Sometimes it's personal preference or cultural influences. In the next few slides, we are going to explore what it is that makes us reach for the food we do. How do we decide what to eat? We live in a world with a lot of food choices. We often choose foods for many reasons besides hunger. The taste, look, and smell of food come into play when we choose what to eat. One of the main reasons we choose a food is because we like the way it tastes. Taste preferences are present when we're born, with even babies showing a fondness for sweetness and fats. Over time, we develop a palate for other flavors. How our food is presented is just as important as how it tastes. It's not uncommon to be disconnected from your hunger cues, and instead eat with your eyes. Sometimes, wanting to eat something is all about how yummy it looks. Our choice of food is also connected to our sense of smell. Smells influence flavor. Aromas such as vanilla, for example, can cause something perceived as sweet to taste even sweeter. Once an odor is experienced, along with a flavor, the two become associated. Thus, smell influences taste, and taste influences smell. What are some of the other reasons we choose to eat that aren't related to the food itself? Your emotions and feelings may influence the foods you choose to consume. People in a good mood are more likely to prefer nutritious food that are low in sugar, salt, and fat, while people in a bad or negative mood are more likely to consume extra calories, fat, and salt. Another reason we choose to eat certain foods is time of day. We may think of some foods as strictly being breakfast foods, or we might regularly go to the same afternoon snack. The activity we are doing also affects food choices. For example, watching a movie and eating popcorn, or hanging out with friends at the same restaurant. Our environment has an influence on food choices too. This includes cultural and family food preferences, as well as what is available in our neighborhood or community. It can be grandma telling us what to eat, or only being able to eat what is sold at the nearest grocery or convenience store. The price and cost of food is another big reason we choose to eat certain things. If money is tight, we might buy things that last longer and provide more calories to be sure we have enough to eat. We may only buy other items when there is a coupon. Lastly, marketing and advertising impacts our food choices. Advertising, the use of color, words, music, images, or videos, impacts our brain and indirectly persuades us to act. Good advertising, whether it's online or offline, influences consumer purchasing decisions, and we usually don't even realize it. How do we know what is in the food we eat? Remember that eat this, not that activity? Often, what we think might be the healthier choice isn't. The only way to truly know is to read a nutrition label, and sometimes that's not practical or even possible. Think back to the 2 previous lessons we've covered on MyPlate and nutrients and what you've learned. The bigger picture goals remain the same, eating a variety of foods from all 5 food groups at every meal.
All right, we've covered the different factors that influence what and when we eat, but how do we know what we're eating is healthy? Now we're going to review the nutrition label and everything it tells us about foods. The nutrition facts label has evolved over the years to stay current and provide information about nutrients that are connected to chronic disease. Remember in the first PD session, we discussed MyPlate and how certain foods high in fat, sugar, and salt are connected to chronic conditions such as heart disease, diabetes, and certain cancers. Then, in PD session 2, we introduced certain nutrients such as fat, carbohydrates, and protein, along with micronutrients. Now we can use the nutrition facts label to identify how much of these nutrients are in the foods we eat. Let's start at the top, serving size. For this item, the serving size is 1 cup, and this package contains 2 servings. Here is a visual guide of what serving sizes should look like by using some common items. Each box illustrates what 1 serving size should look like. For example, a serving of fruit is usually 1 piece and 1/2 a cup. A serving of a vegetable is usually 1/2 a cup or an ice cream scoop. Next on the label is calories. This is based on the portion size of the item. For this label, 1 cup is a portion size, so there are 250 calories in the cup, and 110 of these calories come from fat. If you like math, 110 divided by 250 is 44% of the calories in this item come from fat. The yellow box highlights nutrients which we might limit, such as total fat, saturated fat, and trans fat, cholesterol, and sodium. The amount of each nutrient is listed in either grams or milligrams, and the percent of daily value is intended to be a typical amount for a person following a 2,000 calorie diet. So what this is saying is there are 12 grams of fat in this product. And here's some math again. If there are 9 calories per gram of fat, then 12 times 9 equals 108 calories are fat calories, or in this illustration, you see 110 in the label. Next, we want to be sure we get enough of these in the red box, and these nutrients include dietary fiber, vitamin A and vitamin C, and 2 minerals, calcium and iron. Again, the percentage listed in the label are based on a person following a 2,000 calorie diet per day. The final part of the nutrition label is percent daily values. This is a sample of how much of each nutrient a person following a 2,000 calorie diet would need. This is where there's a lot of variability in diets, but it is based on the MyPlate recommendations.
This year, we will have a new food label, and although all the information is the same, you can see that larger font is used along with bolding of certain items. This is intended to help shoppers while they're at the grocery store review the label to select the product that best fits their health and food needs. Here's an easy guide to break this down for elementary school students that uses the traffic or stoplight approach. Green, go for it, or orange, go easy, or red, whoa, has been used. A classroom assignment might be to have students identify where foods belong when using this approach. For example, green foods are foods such as fruits, vegetables, low-fat milk, water, foods that should be eaten at every single meal. Yellow or orange foods are rich in nutrients but higher in calories, such as pizza. Red foods are foods to eat less often. Recall when you might have had ice cream once a week or bakery treats only on Sundays. Now that we've shared this review of the nutrition facts label, here's a video breaking it down even further from kidshealth.org. The links to the video are in the description.
All right, now we're asking you to put what you learned about sometimes foods into practice. For the next week, let's try to make a switcheroo for a sometimes food that you find yourself eating more often than you'd like. Personally, my weaknesses for sometimes foods show up during the mid-afternoon and later on in the evening. As an example, if you find yourself going for something sweet in the afternoon, like a candy bar or cupcake, can you swap that for a trail mix that has different nuts and dried fruit with natural sweetness? If you're more of a savory afternoon snack person, how about pretzel sticks with hummus instead of chips? If you tend to have an evening snack while you relax in front of the TV or do work on your computer, try to do a switcheroo of dark chocolate for ice cream and cookies, or air-popped popcorn instead of Cheez-Its. I'm sure this sounds hard, but you'd be amazed by how quickly your cravings for sugar, salt, and fat reduce as you eat them less often. Thanks for spending this time with us to understand concepts around sometimes foods and making switcheroos to choose healthier options, the factors that influence what and when we eat, and all the information that you can learn from a nutrition label. Now that you've watched this training, don't forget to teach the lesson to your students so that they know what sometimes foods are too. And once you've taught that lesson, record it on our forum. The link is on our Healthy Schools webpage. After teaching 3 lessons, you'll earn $75 for classroom supplies. On behalf of American University's Department of Health Studies, thank you so much.